Hello, Houston. Welcome once again to On the Money with the team from Allied Wealth. In fact, in the studio today, we have the founder, we have the man, Ryan Wheless. I've got to go right to you. Matt, how you doing? But Ryan, great to have you here, buddy.
It's good to be back. Matt and Pete did a good job, laid it down. They do such a good job. I get to
They laid it down. They glided in. They didn't lay it down. It was a nice and gentle glide. They handled it well.
I don't know. If Pete's flying the airplane, I'm not in it.
Hey, Ryan, I am really glad to have you here for many different reasons. We're going to talk about investing myths, different kinds of things that people are unaware of. But before I get to that, I want to ask you more about Allied Wealth itself. You are the founder of it. It isn't just about investing. You really are helping people with a financial flight plan, as you say, all the way through retirement. What exactly does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, the reality is, Mike, is we do this show to provide education to the great folks of Houston. And I can really state our mission, which is to help as many people live the richest life possible with the resources they have to work with in their golden years. And that's what we're here to do.
And that's interesting, though. The resources they have to work with, you can't create what's not there.
That's right. So some people have done really well for retirement, and they're what we call overfunded retirees. Some people have not done as well, right? And some people have done well, but they're constrained retirees, right? And so we got to kind of figure out where you fit in that mix. But our goal is to help you no matter where you fall in those categories, and that's the whole purpose of the show. I mean, if we can't add value to what you're trying to accomplish, there's no point in you working with us or paying us fees or anything to that end. And the show is kind of an interview, if you will, to say, hey, Ryan's a good guy, Matt's a good guy, these guys know what they're talking about. I'm going to pick up the phone and call them and see if they can add value to what I'm trying to accomplish.
And that's exactly what you do every single week also as well, the 1 hour long radio show that you put together.
Which you host, by the way.
Thank you very much. I enjoy doing it, but whether you're there or not with us, we're always getting your notes and so forth. Make sure we talk about this week. Make sure we hit this. And it's one of the things we have talked about, and I always enjoy talking about it when you're on. The constrained retiree. What exactly is that? What do you mean by that?
It's somebody whose income to asset ratio is more than 3%. It means that you've got an adequate amount of money. You might have $5-10 million, but based on your income need against your assets, it's a high income need to asset ratio. And for those folks, and there's a lot of them out there, by the way, a lot, and there's more constrained retirees out there than anybody else, by the way. But the thing about it is you have to be in a situation to where everything works out perfectly, because if it doesn't and you find yourself in a situation where you're invested in something that's too risky, right, and the market falls or the portfolio falls dramatically, you no longer have the assets available to you to produce the income that you need to maintain your lifestyle. And we see that so much. And folks like that are in a situation to where they really need to be mindful about the things they invest in and know what the portfolio can do or the investment selection can do before they put their money in it, not after, right? Because after is oftentimes reactionary in the sense that I didn't know this portfolio could lose 40%, so now I'm panicking, trying to figure out what to do because I don't have the money available to me anymore to produce the lifestyle I want to live. So what do I do now? Well, folks, that's part of why we do this show, is providing education. And one of those major educational points is you should know how your portfolio will perform in up and down markets before you invest your money into it, not after.
Matt, I know it's hard to take the joystick away from this guy when he's on, so let me hop in here. But for those who are retired, the constrained retiree, we know that there's the new cost of living adjustment that's going to be coming from Social Security. It is quite sizable. It's one of the largest, I think, in 4 decades we've talked about. So is this enough that they won't have to worry about the down losses that they've taken their investment accounts because Social Security is going to make up for it?
Absolutely not. So here's a great example. Let's say that we've got a couple, they need $100,000 net of tax to live on, to maintain their lifestyle over the next 30 years. Maybe they've got a pension, they've got Social Security benefits that accounts for about half of that. Well, that means that 50% of that has to come from their nest egg. Let's say they've saved $1 million for retirement. That's a 5% withdrawal or distribution rate. And if everything's going well for the market, they should be A-okay. But that's part of identifying the investment selection they've got in their portfolio. If they're aligned with more of a passive buy and hold type of strategy that's going to see these substantial market downturns, maybe we identify that they have a chance to lose 50% in a major market crash. Then that $1 million turns into $500,000 in the blink of an eye, right? And then instead of a 5% withdrawal rate, it's 10%. compounded with the loss that they've experienced. And so that goes back to the myths that we hear all the time. Just stick with it. The market always comes back.
Hang on. Give me more time.
In retirement is an entirely different equation. It's how do I make it now the next 20 or 30 years without a paycheck coming in and not run out of money or income in the process. And that's the equation we're trying to solve.
So at Allied Wealth, again, financial advisor, you help people with this all of the time. Since we have you on the desk, what exactly does the financial flight plan mean to you, Ryan? What steps will you cover for someone who just picks up the phone and calls that phone number?
Well, what it comes down to, folks, is this. We call it the financial flight plan because we build a plan based on a flight plan. And a flight plan builds in intricacies and things in it that allow you to make sure you can get the airplane safely on the ground at your point of intended landing. And there's so many things that go into it. What kind of terrain are we going to cross? What kind of fuel do we need? What kind of weather do we have? What's our weight and balance situation? How high can we fly? Is there winds? There's just all these factors. And folks, we take that philosophy about flight planning and build that into a written comprehensive financial plan that addresses the similar things that can happen along the way, if you will. They're like things that can happen in retirement,
right.
Like inflation spiking, or the bond market going down 15% this year, or the stock market falling 25% this year, or the political regime being a mess like it is. I mean, there's so many things that can come into play that can derail your retirement. So we try to build a flight plan that helps encompass handling those objections before they come, not after.
And that's what it can feel like to a lot of folks out there. They're up in an airplane, they can see the storm clouds coming, they don't know what to do. And their first reaction would probably be, let's land this plane, meaning let's sell everything, let's get out, let's be as safe as possible. And can you do that in this environment with this kind of inflation? Sell off your investments and cross your fingers and hope they last?
No, you can't. And the reality, Spike, is that you should know how your portfolio would behave before you put money into it. And here's what I mean. There's a concept out there that's taught by conventional financial wisdom, by the way. It says, hey, look at the average annual return of the portfolio. This thing's doing 12%, it's doing 15%, it's doing 10%, whatever that number is. And people buy off that average because it looks good. The reality is that's the worst possible thing you should do. What you should actually do is look at the standard deviation of the portfolio, because what that tells you is the behavior to the upside and the downside of the portfolio. For instance, you might be in a portfolio that has an upside of 25%. Awesome. That sounds great.
Yeah.
I'd love to have that, right? But that same portfolio might have a downside of 40%. Okay, well, if that 40% downside happens, which is actually more likely to happen than the upside of 25%, by the way, the nice upside. If that happens, what is that going to do to your lifestyle? Just like Matt said, if you have $1 million and you go down from $1 million down $400,000 to $600,000, using a 5% distribution rate, your income just went from $50,000 a year off the million down to $30,000 a year off the $600,000. That's a paper loss, by the way. It's right, just paper loss. Yeah, it just always comes back. Yeah. The reality is, folks, you just lost a majority amount of your income, and you now may be in a situation to where you can't recover those assets, and you're stuck. And the sad thing is, folks, there are ways to identify how your portfolio will behave in those extreme situations of upside and downside. If you just do that simple thing, right? You could save your life in retirement.
Right. I've got to take a very quick break. Matt, why don't you tell the folks out there the financial flight plan, what exactly are they going to get when they call the phone number that they see right here?
Yeah, so for the folks watching, listening at home, when you call, we want to get to know you, understand what your goals and what you're looking to accomplish, but go through a lot of education around, what tolerance for risk do you have? What is your ability to withstand these market drawdowns, our risk capacity? Understanding the investment selection that you have, are some minor adjustments or tweaks needed to stay on a successful path towards retirement? Understanding, a paycheck replacement, our income and spending plan. We haven't talked as much yet about Uncle Sam, but he has a tax lien on our retirement plan, and how can we get that monkey off of our back as much as possible throughout our golden years? Healthcare planning and leaving an effective legacy for your loved ones are all of the essential elements of your financial flight plan.
We're going to take a quick break right now. Folks, if that sounds unfamiliar to you, if you don't have a financial advisor who's talking about all of those different aspects of your retirement planning needs, then call the phone number you see right here, 844-944-7555, and ask for your own complimentary retirement financial flight plan from the team here at On the Money, sponsored by Allied Wealth. More with the team here with Ryan Wheless and Matt Stevenson when we get back right after this.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Welcome back, Houston, to On the Money with the team here from Allied Wealth. Ryan Wheless, Matt Stevenson. I'm your host, Spike Spangle. We're talking about investing and retirement myths, and one of those that I hear all the time, Ryan, is that you're going to spend more on health care than anything else in retirement. True or false?
I believe it's false. And
really?
Yeah, there's no question about it. Well, the biggest expense that we have, we talk about tax liens, right, on our retirement accounts. Your pension, your 401k, your IRA, your 457 plan, your 403b, all of these things are vehicles that you've put money into that has never been taxed. The growth has never been taxed, all right? And so you have a business partner in these accounts, and it's your Uncle Sam, and he's a terrible businessman. He's over $30 trillion in debt, by the way, okay? And so the reality is that if you have, say, $120,000 a year in income in retirement, and your effective tax rate is 20%, well, that's $24,000 a year that go to taxes. All right, if you live a 30-year retirement, that's $720,000 of taxes you will pay over a 30-year period. That doesn't include any taxes your heirs will pay on your money when they get it too, by the way, okay?
So you're able to extrapolate what somebody will pay over 30, 35 years. Because I think most simple folks like myself think about what I'm going to pay in taxes this year and say, oh, I've got my RMD, that 3% or 4%, and then, maybe what I've got to pay on top with Social Security, although there's more than half Americans who don't realize they pay tax on Social Security.
Which is
but
crazy.
what you're doing when saying $700,000 is taking out the entirety of your retirement.
Sure.
And but those are from numbers you know right now. Where are taxes, Matt, going in the future?
Yeah, and when we look at what the government itself is telling us, the Congressional Budget Office says that right now, basically 2/3 of every tax dollar funds four things: Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and the $32 trillion of national debt that we have. But they're also telling us that within 10 years' time, that number is something like 90 cents of every tax dollar if there are no changes being made. And we see a lot of kicking the can down the road, but to have everything function properly that the government has to do to remain successful, there have to be changes. And that's going to come from higher tax rates, less deductions in the future when folks that we're helping are in retirement and they're forced to draw from these tax-infested accounts like your 401k and IRA. And so now is the time to plan for that. What are some ways that we can systematically switch the types of dollars that we have to tax-efficient growth strategies to be able to position ourselves for success in the future?
Well, folks, here's the bottom line. That all sounds great, man, and all, okay? Let me tell you something right now, folks. The IRS is getting $80 billion in revenue. $80 billion, okay? They're using that $80 billion to hire 80,000 new IRS agents. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing for taxes in the future? There's no question about it. Taxes are going up. And by the way, that $80 billion is 12 times the normal annual operating budget for the IRS. All right. So taxation in retirement is going to be a much bigger deal. And as Spike alluded to a minute ago, I can forecast based on current rules and regulations. And even under current rules and regulations, taxes will be your biggest expense. I am very concerned, as is Matt, that taxation will be a much larger problem in the future. There's over $30 trillion in qualified accounts right now today. All right. Uncle Sam is licking his chops. All right. Let me prove it to you. They just got rid of the stretch IRA provision of the Secure Act. Now your kids have 10 years to liquidate your IRAs. Now, my wealthier clients have done well, and they've also taken the time to put in the money and resources to put their kids through school. Okay, so now you got 2 kids. Each kid's single, 30 years old, making $250,000 a year, and all of a sudden they get mom and dad's $5 million IRA dumped on top of them. Okay, well, they've got to pull out $500,000 a year. All right, or $250 apiece. Yeah. Add that to their $250,000 a year in income. Thanks, mom and dad. Appreciate that. And the reality is mom and dad don't want that amount of money going to Uncle Sam anyway, right? So tax planning today, folks, has never been more important. It is such a critical fact, and I can assure you, based on where taxation is today and where it's going in the future, taxes will be your largest expense. And Matt and I see it all the time. The biggest thing that is overlooked time and time again by financial advisors, and sadly, folks, CPAs. And yes, I said CPAs. I got a bone to pick with the CPA industry. You guys are not forward-looking. You record a point and moment in time and do very little tax planning on the front end. It needs to be done on the front end, right? But so little is done with tax planning from CPAs and advisors that people are just missing the boat. And it's one of the first questions we ask when somebody calls the show and then comes to the office to see us to see if we can add value to what they're trying to accomplish is show me your tax plan. Why are you not doing Roth IRA conversions right now when the market's down? Your accounts are down 20%? Let's do a Roth IRA conversion right now.
I want to slow you down on it because we have talked about it. The Roth conversion, and now we don't talk about timing the markets. Study after study, thousands of studies have proven it is difficult to get that right once, let alone twice. When do you get in? When do you get out? But the Roth conversion is very interesting right now because of the negativity of the markets. Explain that. Explain why this is such a good time to consider it.
Let's say you have a $100,000 IRA and you're down 25% this year, right? Well, that means your account value is $75,000. Convert $75,000 of IRA dollars to Roth IRA dollars, all right? And when the market recovers, that account grows back to $100,000. Guess what? The entire account's tax-free. You just got $25,000 of tax-free money for nothing. That's pretty cool, folks.
The pain point, you got to pay your taxes now, right?
And guess what? There's 2 guarantees in life. Right? It's death and taxes, folks.
But if you sell those investments now, there's also the whole concept, which is over my pay grade, the tax loss harvesting, right?
Sure.
Where you can take loss in your investments now.
Right.
And then you get that recovery later, but you get those losses on the books right now.
That's right. You can buy the same positions back 30 days later to avoid what's called wash-sell rules. Give me some very complex stuff here, folks. But these are the kind of things that we think about, right? The financial flight plan, going back to it. The same complicated things that we're talking about with a flight plan that you don't understand, like weight and balance, and what's the weather at my intended landing point of destination, how much fuel do I need, what kind of terrain will I encounter along the way, what if I lose my engine here, and here, right? All these things. We apply those same levels of detail to financial planning, right? That's what the financial flight plan actually does. And we're very, very big on taking a detailed, deep dive analysis into taxes because taxes will be your number 1 expense. Now, I do believe healthcare may be your secondary expense, but guess what should be your secondary expense over healthcare? It's having fun, right? What did you spend the last 40 years of your life doing, right? Yeah. To worry about healthcare and taxes? No, it's having fun. So part of that, too, is like we ask you, what do you visualize yourself doing in your golden years? Who are you with? Where are you? What are you doing? Answer those questions, folks, because that's what matters most above all the other stuff we're talking about here today. And, folks, if you want to engage with us, it's super simple. Just call the number on the screen. Click the QR code, 844-944-7555. Matt and I and Spike, too, we're the same people in the office we are right here on this television show. If you like us here, you'll love us there. We got a great team, great staff. We take really good care of our people. So pick up the phone and give us a call and give us a shot.
I'm going to do an add-on for you as well. We want to get you a complimentary copy of the book, Stress-Free Retirement. So for the first 20 callers, we'll send you a copy of that book there. But for everyone who calls the phone number, everyone who is watching the show here in the Houston area, we want to get you started on the financial flight plan to a comfortable retirement, to get you to the destination that you want to so you can be and stay retirement ready. Call 844-944-7555. I want to ask Ryan, since we got him on the desk, more about investing myths and facts when we get back right after this.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to On the Money with the team here from Allied Wealth. Ryan Wheless, the founder, is here with us. Matt Stevenson, the president. I'm your host, Spike Spangle. What I want to continue our program is the investment myths and, more importantly, facts, especially in retirement. And I wanted to get a little bit of the perspective from Matt as well. So where are you at with the investment myths and facts right now with Social Security? Is Allied Wealth of the philosophy, take it as soon as you can because we don't know if it's going to be there in 10, 11 years?
That's a great question. It's something that we hear all the time. And when we research on the world's smartest financial advisor,
Google,
not to name names or anything, but there's a lot of information out there that...
Hey, they can't put anything on the internet that's not true, by the way. Or
exactly.
Oh, of course not. By the way, Google Ryan Wheless.
But so much information about, you've paid into this system for 30 or 40 years. We got to wring every dollar out of it that we can, claim it as soon as you're able to, because we don't know what the future holds. None of us have a crystal ball that's not shattered into a million pieces. But that's where we've got to do the math on it. Outside of just considering yourself, you've got your spouse to consider as well in a lot of cases. So, really planning around the appropriate time to claim that Social Security benefit and developing your overall income and spending plan, because it's not just about Social Security. Maybe if you're lucky, you've still got a pension, but we're probably going to need to lean on the nest egg for income too, and it's how those partner together.
That's exactly right, Matt. So the thing is that you can't just look at the Social Security benefit. You've got to look at how delaying Social Security, yet needing the same amount of income out of your portfolio, impacts the portfolio over time, right? So we've got a guy that wanted to take it at 62 and 70, and we kind of look at the numbers for him and say, okay, look, if you take it at 62, yes, you will cumulatively get more money if you lived at age 85 than you will if you take it at 70, right? The challenge is your portfolio value will be less at the end. So how does the portfolio value get impacted over time? Do you have more money?
It's going to be less because we're drawing
money early, right? And so if you're taking money early, right, it's going to be actually the portfolio value will be more because the Social Security income at 62, say, is not having to be taken from the portfolio, right? So the portfolio value later on in life will be much higher than if you take it at 70, because if you took it at 70, the portfolio had to produce that Social Security income up until you turn 70, right? The point being, folks, is don't just look at the cumulative amount of money you get out of Social Security. Look at the residual values of your portfolio at age 85 if you take it at 62 versus 70. Big numbers. For instance, the situation I'm talking about, because the guy took it at 62, his portfolio value was about $700,000 at 85. If he had taken it at age 70, his portfolio value was about $550,000. So 550 versus 725, that's a big difference. Now, at 85, if you have a health care issue, long-term care issue, something like that, I would rather have a big pool of money, right, to be able to draw from instead of a smaller pool of money to draw from. So you've got to look at the intricacies of how this stuff fits together, because it's not just about, hey, I've done my spreadsheet and I know exactly what day to take it, right?
Social Security, not so much based on the numbers, but based on life expectancy. How do you guess somebody's life expectancy?
You factor in age 80, age 85, age 90, somewhere there, age 95, and you give people a range of expectations. We don't know how long we're going to live, but I know if age 80 mathematically we should be here, at age 85 here, age 90 here, age 95 there. So mathematically we can really get into those details and look at a range of expectations for outcome, right? I can't pinpoint the exact day you're going to die. I don't have a crystal ball, right? But if we look at a range of expectations and those expectations meet what you're trying to accomplish, then we're in the right situation.
Do you both have longevity in your families? Do you have? I've got two grandmothers who have turned into their mid-low 90s right now, so I'm experiencing it. We're hearing more and more of it as people call into the radio show and the television show and so forth. Are experiencing that with clients as well, for, hitting into those 80s saying, oh my gosh, thank you for planning out this long.
No question about it.
Absolutely, and especially, a lot of the couples that we see, perhaps the gentleman is a bit older than the significant other, and so knowing the math around that, three gentlemen here on the show, our better halves tend to outlive us, right? And so stress testing around longevity, especially for the benefit of your loved one, your spouse, that's one of the most important things we do. It all ties back to that central question. No matter what walk of life you're from, what you did for a living, how much you've saved, how do we use the resources that you've worked your tail off for the next 20 to 30 years and not run out of money or income in the process? And that's why we're here to help you.
There's also a bit of a tax avalanche that we talk about sometimes, because thank goodness your Social Security isn't taxed, right? So we've got our Social Security, then we start taking those RMDs, and then everything you've got to take out of your accounts. It's kind of a perfect storm as we get older.
It is a tax time bomb that's blowing up.
Now,
sure.
You are not necessarily CPAs, but it's incredible to me how much you guys do talk about taxes.
We're not CPAs, and we don't have to be CPAs to tell you, hey, there's a better way mathematically to get money out of your retirement accounts. We don't need to be CPAs for that. Just need to have a brain and a calculator, right?
Since you are the pilot and we've got you here on the desk, please land this plane for us. Tell us about the financial flight plan, and you've also got a colleague who wrote the Stress-Free Retirement book.
Yeah, folks, this giveaway on this book is more important to me than anything we're doing today, and here's why. I just met with a lady in Beaumont, Texas, who had $1 million. She had lost about $400,000 this year and had $1 million left. And I said to her, I said, well, how do you feel about that loss you just took? And she said, I hate it. But I thought I had to take a risk to get where I wanted to go, and she doesn't, all right? So the Stress-Free Retirement book talks about ways to invest your money and not have to take risk. To get your copy today, postage paid, by the way, pick up the phone, 844-944-7555, or click on the QR code.
Thank you so much for watching On the Money. We'll be back again next week.